All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Eric Paulzine with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the Thursday night showdown picks here. It's a game that we got going on here on Thursday night. The game over and under is set at 38.5, which is the lowest of any game this week. The Browns are favored to win by 4.5 points, and it's just going to be an ugly game. Showdown wise, we might be forced into playing some kickers and defenses because it should not be a fun game. And it's a Thursday night game, so that means it's going to be a little bit more sloppy as well. So interesting stuff there. Let's just get into the picks. Before we get into the picks for today, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Sports Battle app. Sports Battle app is a props-based daily fantasy sports app. You can make some bets on there today. I like Deontay Johnson under 5.5 receptions, and then Mitchell Trubisky under 32.5 passing attempts. Those are two prop-based bets that I like a lot. If you guys want to make those bets, you can go in there today. If you do a $50 deposit, you get a $5 cash back using the promo code 9 and then spelled out TO5 as the promo code. All right, let's get into today's picks. So I actually do think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a great chance to cover that 4.5 points there. That'd be the pick I would go with. But let's just look at it. So like Najee Harris. Okay, if it wasn't for Najee Harris in the second half of that week 2 game, really just the fourth quarter, that he finally started to show something, because week 1 didn't really do much. And then for most of that game against New England, he just looked okay. He looked better than he did in week 1, but it was really that fourth quarter where he finally started to look good, started to get used in the passing game. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of finally into it this season. At least that's what the fourth quarter and kind of second half told me. If you play Najee Harris, I'm fine with it. He's not someone I'm going crazy out of my way to play, especially just given this price point. Can he easily get to 13 DK points on the slate, double-digit DK points? He can. I do see that happening for him. It's just, man, he did not look good up until that fourth quarter. Deontay Johnson's really the only one Pittsburgh Steelers play that you want to make on this slate. Deontay Johnson, obviously 10 targets last week, 12 targets the week before that, averaging 13 DK points. He's a very consistent fantasy producer because he gets targeted a lot, because he gets a lot of receptions. He has opportunity, so a rushing attempt or target for him, it's just a target. He has an opportunity per snap in 22% of his snaps, which is obviously very strong there. So yes, Deontay Johnson, just given his consistency and the likelihood of him to get some targets, he'd be the one Pittsburgh Steelers player that I'm just going out of my way to play. And really, other than a couple like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, he's the only other player that I'm truly I just need to play this guy. And he might be the top player, honestly. So from there, Mitchell Trubisky just has not looked good. Honestly, if he struggles this week, given the extended week that the Steelers will have, you might be seeing a quarterback replacement, okay? You might be. And I know he was the MVP, Nickelodeon valuable player. But his time as the QB1 in Pittsburgh might be done after this week. We'll see. It just hasn't looked good. He's missed some wide open receivers, and sure, they haven't been utilizing him via the legs that much, and they kind of need to for him to be successful. New England's defense, I think, is all right. Cincinnati was able to get to him. Hasn't thrown for over 200 passing yards. I just don't see the point of playing him. He's been serviceable. He's just a good NFL backup, bad NFL starter. That's Mitchell Trubisky. Pat Friermuth, he has been getting a lot of work. 7 targets last week, 10 targets the previous week, averaging 12.4 DK points. He's been getting a decent amount of opportunities per snap. At 16% of his snaps, he's seen an opportunity. That is pretty good for a tight end, but we're paying up for that. I don't want to pay $7K for a tight end play that, sure, he's been getting targeted a decent amount, but I could easily see that flip to Chase Claypool, who's had 6 targets last week, 6 targets the first week, been getting targeted a decent amount. It's just Mitchell Trubisky has to hit him. I like Chase Claypool as a cheaper play than I do Pat Friermuth, okay? And then George Pickens, I will say, Trubisky has missed him a few times on some big plays that were there. Those could easily hit in this game as well, but I don't think the price difference between Pickens to Claypool is great enough for me to need to play George Pickens. And then from there, Steelers D, I do like a lot going against Cleveland, who is going to run the ball. Okay, Nick Chubb has gotten 22 opportunities per game on average, and Kareem Hunt has gotten 14. Okay, that's a lot for 2 running backs to get. Okay, so that means the clock is going to be running. Factor on Najee Harris potentially getting 15 rushing attempts and maybe Jaylen Warren getting 3. The clock's going to be running a lot. Okay, and the Pittsburgh Steelers D has been very impressive thus far this season. Against Cincy, they really dominated, obviously. And then against New England, they played pretty well as well. Only giving up 17 points. Very productive there defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, if you're trying to find value, maybe you could even go with Steelers D at the captain spot. It's 6.6K on this slate. That is not terrible, okay? I think I'm going to go with them more as a flex play, but, there's a path where you could do that if you want to. The only way I'd play Jaylen Warren is if you think, Najee Harris is going to get injured. You're trying to get lucky there. I don't really like that play. And there's not really any other value that you could go out there and play. The plays are what they are. That's just what we got on this slate, at least for Pittsburgh. Getting into the Cleveland side of it now, I will say Amari Cooper, kind of given his price point, is a decent play receiver-wise. And in week 1, he only had 3 receptions, but he was targeted 6 times. The problem with that was he was open a lot more than that, okay? And I think they watched the film and said, okay, Amari was open. We got to start passing the ball a little bit more. And then we saw that corrected in week 2 against the Jets, where he had 10 targets for 9 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown, 28 DK points. Absolutely phenomenal. The thing with it is, it didn't really, watching the game, and this is just Cleveland Browns football right now, it didn't really seem like he got that much work, that much usage. It was strange. But obviously, yes, he's getting open a lot. He'd be an all right play. You can play him if you want to, and I do think we will be able to play him. The 2 players on the Browns that I want to play, and this shouldn't shock anyone, is going to be Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb has been getting used a lot, over 20 opportunities per game now. Has looked really good. 18 DK points in week 1, 32 DK points in week 2. I think we can lock him into about 15 DK points in this one. Yes, the Steelers have been much better defensively. This is probably going to be their toughest matchup, one of the toughest matchups they'll face all year. But Nick Chubb just been so solid and consistent that I do want to be playing him. And then from there, Kareem Hunt. Yes, he didn't dominate last week, but he still had 15 opportunities and still had 9.4 DK points. Yeah, he didn't fall into the end zone. Could he fall into the end zone against the Steelers? He could. And, just given the fact that he's just going to get over 10 opportunities in this game and we can kind of just lock that in, that's something that's highly appealing to me. You look at both these guys, they're both playing about 50% of the RB snaps as well. They're playing together sometimes. They're both solid plays, both plays that I'm trying to get on this week. I'm going to put him in the flex just for this build purpose, so put him in there. I don't really think we have to play Jacoby Brissett. Now, yes, can Mitchell Trubisky fall into the end zone? They certainly can. That is just not something I want to go with, okay? And now let's try to find a Quez Watkins type play, a value play that can score a touchdown. We don't really have that, okay? We don't. I will say Demetric Felton, they try to get some touches in early on in the game. There's about 3 separate plays where they try to get him the ball, and it didn't work out. Could he get more work in this one? I don't know. Maybe. They were just trying to get the ball into another playmaker's hands. He only played in 13 snaps, which wasn't a lot, but when he was on the field, they try to get him the ball. If you have to, I guess you could play him. I don't love that. That's not something I want to do. Once again, with the tight end, this is just too much to pay out for him. Although David Njoku was on the field a ton. He's been on the field a ton, 90% of the snaps. So if you wanted to play him, you could. I don't want to. DPJ, I will say, got targeted a lot in week 1, and that did kind of seem like a mistake to me. Last week, he only had 1 target. It was a target in which he almost scored a touchdown on, just couldn't get both feet down, but it was kind of a spectacular catch in the end zone. Okay, Jacoby Brissett is just not that good to get 2 pass catchers involved, especially when the offense is running through both the running backs. So it does kind of seem like you're either playing Cooper or you're playing DPJ. Okay, don't play both of them. And that's, once again, the issue with this slate. Then, sure, Browns D, they haven't been that successful against 2 teams that you would kind of want them to be. Baker Mayfield sucked against them, and he has sucked thus far this season, but they only scored 6 DK points against him. And then last week against Joe Flacco, they only scored 3 DK points. I don't know, that they should be doing better against those 2 matchups, just given the film that was out there. So maybe if you're playing a Cleveland Browns player like that, you just go with Cade York, their kicker. Maybe gets a couple of field goal attempts and gets 9 DK points for you in this one. Obviously not something you want to play, but it is a kickers and defense slate kind of, so you might be forced into playing someone like that. So let me see if I can close out this build. I don't like that, so I'm just going to put Steelers in there. 5.2 left over. Yeah, I just don't like that at all. Harrison Bryant, he made a couple of plays. He was just wide open on them and had room to run. If you have a more athletic tight end catching the pass that he did where he's open to run, it could have been a touchdown, but it was Harrison Bryant, so he only got 30 yards on it. So here's a lineup that's just a shitty way of getting all the top plays into a build where you're kind of forced into playing Felton in the captain spot, but then you're going to get Deontay Johnson, who should be the top Pittsburgh Steelers scorer. Then you get Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, who should be the top Cleveland Browns scores, and then you get Amari Cooper and Najee Harris, who should at least get 10 DK points. Maybe get lucky with the 1 play with Felton. I doubt that's going to happen, so I don't like this build. So let's try to rebuild it so we can make an optimal build, which is probably going to feature a kicker and defense. So once again, like trying to fit Nick Chubb in as the captain's play, and I don't love it either. Like this is just not a good build. And this is just pointing out that we do not have a good slate. Like we just don't. Like maybe you could go DPJ in there, but I still feel like we're just forcing in a 0 there. I don't like this build. So once again, I'm going to try to rebuild it one more time and we'll see what we can come up with. All right, so here's kind of it's a bad build. I don't like this. I'd much rather be able to fit the Steelers D in here, but it kind of makes sense. We got Chris Boswell, the kicker, in there. We also have Browns D. You could potentially just go with Cade York as well. Like I don't want to play the Browns D. I want to be able to fit the Steelers D in there. It's just not working out. Like I want to play a kicker if I'm going to go that route. You could go Jalen Warren, try to get lucky. Maybe it's more playing time. Try to get lucky there. Like, it's just not pretty. It's just the slate that we have. And, like, let's say you really want to pay up. You could potentially do that, like Chase Claypool. But then we have 1.8 left over, which is also a price point that I don't love. Try to get David Bell. Like, one target last week, playing like 30% of the snaps. I don't love that. That's just the lineup construction that we have on this slate. It just is. Like, it sucks that it is that way. I'll try one more build here, and then I'll be getting out of here. All right, so maybe this is a build that would work. Like, I still don't love having to go with David Njoku in a build. I don't love him as a pick. It could work. Steelers D in there. Hopefully they have a good game, but like just look at this. Way too many Cleveland Browns players just as is. Like I don't like that at all. So like just the lineup construction is just not there to make an optimal build on this slate, guys. It's just not. Maybe Chris Boswell as the captain's pick, and then we go up from David Njoku to DPJ, but then we're still stuck on a Cleveland Browns player. Like it's a terrible slate. It just is. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to force in the studs. Maybe we get some more information. Maybe an injury pops up. We'll see. Come Thursday night, maybe we'll get some more information. But right now, it's just a slate that I'm staying away from. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Let's have a good week. Hopefully we can make a good cash build. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.